The anime begins with Sakamichi Kinjirou being awakened by his sister. When he comes down to breakfast, she thanks him for being her morning practice, and he just sighs, used to being his sister's punching bag. She says that she will soon be able to fight a bear just like her mother did recently in India. But Sakamichi says that their mom is still out of her league, that's why she went to look for opponents in other countries. After that, Sakamichi goes to school and comes across the same scene as always, the girls fangirling over Kono, Kanade's butler, the most popular girl in high school and daughter of the school principal. He doesn't understand why anyone would need a butler at school, and his best friend gets serious and asks him if he likes men since he keeps looking at the butler and has a strong aversion to girls. And to prove it, a girl approaches Sakamichi, and he runs off to hide in the bathroom. There, he enters one of the cubicles without touching and finds Kanade's butler in women's underwear. He quickly concludes that Kono has weird and leaves the bathroom, but Kono starts punching him because Sakamichi has discovered his secret, but he resists his punching because he's used to it. Kono says that he will hit him repeatedly on the head to make him forget what he saw, but Sakamichi doesn't like to feel the pain, so he runs away at full speed and locks himself in the science classroom. Kono quickly finds him and threatens him with a lot of techniques which have strange names, but so much fuss causes a glass jar to almost hit him, and Sakamichi saves him by pushing him and falling on him. Suddenly, Sakamichi feels something soft under his hands and realizes that Kono is a girl, and she knocks him out with a hit with the fire extinguisher. When Sakamichi wakes up, he thinks he had a strange dream, but it wasn't a dream and he is chained to a bed with Kanade sleeping next to him. She wakes up and tells him that she is holding him because he knows the truth about Kono and explains that she and Kono's family have been linked as masters and butlers for generations, but Kono is an only child and she wanted to be a butler so much that Kanade's father made it a condition for her not to be discovered as a girl in high school for 3 years. But now Sakamichi knows the truth. Then he asks where Kono is and Kanade shows him her butler also handcuffed, since she wants to eliminate Sakamichi at all costs. Kanade tells him that she is curious about the rumor about his phobia of girls and takes off his shirt to touch his chest, and immediately Sakamichi's nose begins to... After her experiment, Kanade offers him a deal. She will get him a cure for his phobia of girls if he keeps Kono's secret, and he accepts without thinking. The only disadvantage is that Kono must spend time with him to keep an eye on him. The next day, Kono picks up Juru at his house and accidentally sees Kureha in her... Afterwards, Juru tells this to Kanade, and she says he shouldn't worry about his sister, since she's spying on them right now. Then, Kureha asks her brother about Kono, as she wants to know what the butler thinks of her body, but Juru assures her sister that Kono said nothing. Kanade finds the situation very funny and tells Kureha that she supports her falling in love with her butler and wants to help her because they will soon be her sisters-in-law, and lies to her that she is Juru's girlfriend. Kureha doesn't believe her, but Kanade says she has already seen Juru's unclothed body and knows where he has birthmarks, and since she wants him to get used to girls, she proposes a double date between the 4 of them. In the afternoon, Juru and Kureha meet Kanade and Kono at the public pool, and Kureha shyly asks Kono to teach her how to swim, and Kanade orders her to do so since Juru can take care of her. It turns out that when they were children, they were both, and Kono felt guilty for not having prevented it, and from that day on, the two began to grow apart. Then Kanade finishes the story before he asks more and starts acting like a clingy girlfriend towards him, and Juru can barely handle all the nosebleeds. After that, Kanao asks Juru and Kono to go buy drinks, and they go, but they encounter a distraction. A little girl almost drowns and Juru jumps into the water to save her, but he is the one who's drowning now. While he is unconscious, he remembers the promise he made to his father to always protect whoever he had by his side. When he wakes up, he and Kono receive a cell phone with a video call from someone who claims to have Kanade and Kureha. The kidnapper wants Kono to go save them, but she sees that the masked kidnapper has a knife and almost faints since she has a phobia of knives. Then Juru decides to rescue the girls on his own and punches Kono, leaving her unconscious. He goes to the abandoned factory and confronts the masked kidnapper, but he is very strong and beats him up. Fortunately, Kono arrives and confronts the masked kidnapper, even though he has a knife. The fight is intense, but Kono manages to win and goes to rescue the girls. Kanade wakes up and thanks her for saving her and asks Kono to be her friend forever. Suddenly, the kidnapper appears and takes off his mask, and to everyone's surprise, he is Kono's father, Nager, and he is very happy because his daughter challenged her phobia of knives. This is too much for Juru and he faints. When he wakes up, he realizes that he is in Kanade's mansion, and Nager laughs at him because he didn't hit him very hard and he is still badly hurt. When Kanade enters, she explains that Nager is very overprotective of Kono because she is his only daughter, and he did not remarry at Kono's request. And that is why she wanted to be a butler so much, to prevent her mother from being forgotten. So she thanks him for being Kano's friend since Kano was her first love. Afterwards, Kano enters the room and hugs Juru, crying because she was afraid of losing him since he is her only friend, and he hugs her back tightly. Suddenly, Kureha enters and sees them hugging and accuses her brother of being unfaithful to her girlfriend Kanade, and that angers Kono because she did not know that he was her master's boyfriend, and she begins to chase him to give him a lesson, which causes Kanade to laugh since the mess of lies is thanks to her. Days later, Juru is ecstatic with happiness since Kureha is in her training camp with her school club and he can eat all the ramen he wants. Unfortunately, her long-awaited solitude does not last long because Kano is at his door asking to stay and live there for a few days because according to Kanade, she was kicked out of the house last night. Meanwhile, in a distant forest, Kureha is experiencing what she wanted so much, fighting a bear. Returning to Juru's house, he shows Kano of the delicious ramen and tells her that they can sleep as long as they want, but Kano says that as a butler, she can't let her master be lazy and takes him to train at Juru's house dojo. After that, he goes to take a bath after such an exhaustive workout, and Kano comes in to scrub his back because she is a good butler. Suddenly, they hear Kureha enter the house saying that she had to come back because the bear injured her arm, and Juru quickly closes the bathroom door so that she doesn't discover them. But Kureha quickly sees women's and breaks into the bathroom and is shocked when she sees Kano in the bathtub, who quickly submerges herself so that she doesn't see her body. After that, Kureha is delighted to have Kano there, but that's not all. Kanade found out that the three of them would spend days alone and wanted to join in the fun dressed as a maid. Juru fervently refuses because the house already has a butler, and it is Kano, so Kanade proposes a maid versus butler duel. The first point goes to Kanade because she massages Kureha's shoulders perfectly, and when she tries to put apples in Juru's mouth, he runs away. Kano wants to win her first point, so she chews the apple and is ready to give it mouth to Juru, but he faints. It turns out that he has a cold and now must stay in bed. So Kanade proposes that Kano take care of him, but her care is extreme and unhealthy. Later, Kanade sneaks into Juru's room and tells him that she came to his house to take Kano home, but she needs his help and takes him somewhere else. They arrive at a tent where Nagar is living, and Kanade explains to Juru that since last month, father and daughter have been in cold water because she does not forgive that her father has hurt her only friend, and as they were constantly fighting, Kanade's father decided to throw them both out of the mansion until they reconciled. Suddenly, Kano arrives and wants to take Juru home since she's afraid that his cold will take him to the other world like it did with her mom and Juru's father. Then Juru gathers his strength and tells her that a simple cold will not defeat him so easily and asks her to fix things with her father and return to the mansion for Kanade's sake. Since if a butler makes a master unhappy, the butler has failed, and that convinces Kano to forgive her dad. Days later, Juru returns to school and Kano tells him that he must take care of his health and live a long time or she will cry if something happens to him, and he promises to take care of him, and then she leaves because her father also has a cold. After that, Kanade talks to Juru and says that she is surprised that he stopped being a chicken with women and kisses him unexpectedly. He immediately his nose and she says that he is still a chicken and reminds him that Kano is her first love, but it does not necessarily mean that it remains that way. Days later, a girl named Usami is on her way to school on her bike and crashes into Juru. But since he is a tough boy, he is almost unharmed, although his glasses fly through the air and fall between Usami's legs. He tries to get them back, but she thinks he is flirting with her and kicks him, saying that she can't believe Kano is his friend. When Juru wakes up, he is in the school infirmary being cared for by Kano. She tells him that he found him passed out near the school and brought him back. Then he asks her about Kanade and is relieved when he realizes that she is not there, and Kano asks him why he is avoiding her lately and he doesn't want to tell her. Kano tells him that they are friends and he can trust her with anything and says that she will not judge him, and she also wants him to accompany her to the school festival, since Kanade will be busy with her committee. Juru is delighted to accompany her to the school festival and decides to tell her what he's worried about. What Kano didn't expect is that Juru wants to talk to her about his first kiss. He says that it was unexpected and he would like to repeat it. And Kano decides to kiss him, since it is something that worries her friend. When she goes to kiss him, she is interrupted by Kanade, reminding her that at school, she's a boy and should behave like one. And she tells them that her classroom has decided on the theme for the school festival, a cross-dressing cosplay cafe. Before leaving, Kanade drops a love letter and says that it was in her locker, and she rhetorically asks what Kano would do if someone kissed her, and Kano evilly says that she would eliminate the guy, which makes Juru tremble in fear. Later, Juru leaves the infirmary and rants about his bad day, blaming Usami, and she listens to him and takes him to the roof. She asks him to be her fake boyfriend because she needs him, and tells him that there will soon be a war between Kano's fan clubs. She is an S4 officer and wants to annoy WWG by showing them that Kano's supposed boyfriend likes girls. If he agrees to fake a relationship, she as an officer will guarantee his safety from S4. Jiro doesn't want to accept because he can handle it against S4, but Usami says that because of him, there are rumors that Kano looks girly every day, and not only that, Usami followed them on their first date and saw Kano dressed like a girl and thinks he likes cross-dressing. This shocks Jiro and he asks her to delete the photo, but she threatens to laminate the entire school with these photos. Suddenly, Jiro goes up to the roof and asks them what they are doing, and Usami forces him to lie that they are dating and even says that they are going to the school festival together as a couple. That breaks Kano's heart and she punches Jiro. After that, Usami tells him that they have to practice being a couple and takes him to the mall to buy a swimsuit, since she has no friends and she doesn't want to go alone. And not only that, she forces him to buy it for her because he is supposedly her boyfriend, and when she says that he will walk to her house, he decides to walk with her. Before saying goodbye to him, Usami says that they will be a couple until the end of the festival and asks him that no matter what happens, he must trust her, and he promises to do that. Days later, the school festival begins and Usami asks Jiro to treat her like a boyfriend treats his girlfriend, but he has no experience, so she takes the lead and tries to feed him like a couple would. But they are interrupted by Kano. She says that as Jiro's friend, it is her duty to maintain their chase relationship, and she chases them everywhere, clinging to him more than Usami. Then, in a big sheep, gives Kano a pamphlet and she lights up wanting to go to that cafe, and Jiro accompanies her, leaving Usami aside. It turns out that the animal cafe belongs to Kira's class, and Usami sees that the siblings get along so well that she feels a little jealous because her family doesn't get along. Then she tells Jiro that he can go with Kano since he is not having fun with her, and he agrees and goes after Kano. But suddenly, he is attacked by a giant sheep. She introduces herself as the WWG president of Kano's fan club, Nakuru. She tells him that WWG ships him with Kano and approves their relationship, and that is why she warns him that the war between WWG and S4 is about to begin and he can get hurt. Jiro isn't worried because he has a deal with Usami, but Nakuru says that Usami doesn't have enough power to control S4. Suddenly, Usami appears and knocks out Nakuru and wants to also knock out Jiro, but he is saved by Kano. Then, Usami escapes crying. Kano asks Jiro what is happening and he can't tell her the whole truth, so he just says that there will soon be a war between her two fan clubs, and Kano wakes up Nakuru to infiltrate them into the WWG. The war takes place in the school gym where the Master of Ceremonies will give the opening speech, and to Jiro's surprise, she is none other than Kanade. His shock was so great that everyone discovers them and they are forced to take sides, and Kano says that she will participate in the WWG side because they are peaceful. Then Kanade announces that the winning side can order whatever they want from the losing side. The war begins with a question and answer competition about Kano's life, and both sides are tied, so Kanade has one last question and only Kano knows the answer. Kanade asks who Kano's first kiss was, and Jiro begs Kano to swallow her shame and answer since his life depends on the correct answer. Kano then replies that her first kiss was Jiro, which surprises everyone, even Jiro himself. To clear up confusion, Kanade plays a video clip to show the kiss, and it turns out that when Jiro almost drowned in the pool, Kano gave him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. The video clip makes the S4 group angry and they are ready to eliminate Jiro, and he panics and declares that he likes Kanade to avoid being annihilated, but without knowing this declaration makes Kano sad. Then Kanade rejects him in public, while she slowly walks away from the stage, and he continues asking her for explanations, but it was all a ploy to get Jiro out of the gym. Outside, he thanks her, but Kanade mocks him and gives him a big hug, telling him that she loves him, and Jiro starts from his nose. He asks her why Usami wasn't in the gym, and she says that Usami resigned from S4 before the war, and not only that, she had no friends in S4, much less power. This surprises Jiro, and he runs out to look for her, asks for an explanation, and finds her on the roof. She melancholy tells him that she always watched Kano, and since the butler had no friends, she thought there was someone like her. But this year, Jiro became friends with Kano and the butler began to change. So she thought that Jiro had special powers to change people and she wanted him to change her, but nothing happened. She was still the same lonely girl as before, unable to make friends. Then he tells her that according to their agreement, they should spend the day together until the festival is over, and takes her for a walk. Later, he tells her about his xenophobia and says that he can't make friends normally either, but still, they are friends now. At that moment, Kanade and Kano arrive. The butler already knows the truth, and Jiro tells her that Usami is his friend, and Kano accepts her, saying that a friend of Jiro's is her friend too, and that makes her happy. Sometime later, the summer heat is burning in the streets and Jiro wants to get home soon. But Kano is waiting for him at the doors with a cold drink. She gives it to him and he drinks it confidently without knowing that it has sleeping pills. When he wakes up, he's at a hot springs inn sleeping next to Kanade, and she says that she ran away from her family because they wanted to go on vacation somewhere else without consulting her. The irony doesn't escape Jirou since she him, but Kanade says that this vacation will be like a camp to cure his xenophobia. Then they go to the beach that is near the inn, and Kanade forces Jirou to put sunscreen on her back, and to embarrass him even more, she doesn't stop moaning. After that, Kamino wants to break watermelons with a very dangerous bat, and he runs away to buy drinks. There he meets Kureha, Usami, and Nakuru. It turns out that they were on a school trip, but they were separated from the group by a shark and swam to this part of the beach. Suddenly, Kano and Kanade approach, and Jirou runs to put a pair of glasses on Kano, since she is wearing a swimsuit and is at risk of being discovered. When Kureha sees her, she thinks she is Kamino, but Kanade quickly says that she is Puniru, Kano's cousin. Kureha and Nakuru easily believe it, but Usami doesn't, and she can't believe that Kano's taste for cross-dressing was so serious. What Usami doesn't understand is what are doing Jirou with Kanade, and she shows up to say that they eloped and are at the same inn and sleeping on the same futon. Usami doesn't believe her and says that she realized a long time ago that she says contrived things to get what she wants. Kanade applauds her for not believing everything she says, but Usami is not done. She says that she knows Jirou very well because they are friends and have done many things together. She even cooked for him, and they were once so close that they could smell each other's aroma. All this is heard by Kano, who is shocked and runs away from there, but Jirou runs after her to explain what really happened. It turns out that a few days ago, he went to eat Usami's homemade food because she wanted to make up for the bad time she put him through. The food was delicious, but then she put on his swimsuit and clung to him to cure him of his phobia of girls. This upsets Kano and she hits him, but he tells her that Usami is just a friend and she believes him, and they go back to where the other girls are. Kanade invites the other three to stay at the family inn, but suddenly, Nager appears to take Kanade and Kano, but his daughter pretends not to know him. They return to the inn and Kano dresses as a butler again, and Nakuru asks her to read aloud a fanfic of the Kamino and Jirou couple. She reads it but can't finish it because she turns red and throws it out the window. At night, Jirou feels uncomfortable surrounded by so many girls and goes to the hot springs to relax a little, but there he meets Kono. They first stay apart so as not to look at each other, but suddenly, Nager appears and Kono hides behind Jirou so that her father does not see her. Nager questions Jirou about his intentions with his daughter, but Jirou assures him that they are just friends. This does not allay Nager's concerns, and he leaves the hot springs angrily. But he returns within seconds because he noticed his daughter's and realizes that she is there. But Kano does not allow her father to hurt Jirou and knocks him out with a kick. But without noticing, she leaves the hot spring and Jirou sees her without clothes, so she knocks him out too. The next day, Jirou and Nager don't remember what happened last night. After that, everyone spends the day on the beach, and at night, everyone puts on yukatas, even Kono. She pretends to be Pumeru again. They stroll through the game stands, but Kano disappears, and Kenai tells Jirou that she is on the nearby mountain. Jirou does not hesitate and goes to look for her, but Nagara does not let him go forward and tells him that tomorrow is the anniversary of Kano's mother's and she is buried here because they eloped here many years ago. And if Kanade had gone on vacation far away, Kamino would have had to go with her, but she decided to escape from her family so that Kano would pay respects to her mother. Luckily, Kanade appears and distracts Nager, and Jirou is able to go to the cemetery to accompany Kano. She tells him that her mother was always afraid that she wouldn't make friends, and her mother was right, since she still can't make friends normally, and he says that it's because she always had to pretend that she was a boy. Then Kano starts to cry, and Jirou hugs her tightly. Although he knows that he may faint, he does not let her go and asks her to introduce him to her mother. Kano understands what he wants to do and happily tells her mother that she finally has a friend, but so much contact is too much for him and he faints. When he wakes up, Kureha tells him that Kano won the Yukata beauty contest and now the battle royale will take place and the winner will be able to kiss the Yukata queen. Jirou is determined to win because he doesn't want his friend to have to give a forced kiss to someone unknown, and Nager is going to participate to eliminate all the guys who want to kiss his daughter. What they didn't count on is that Nakuru would be drunk in the battle royale and would attack everyone by taking off their clothes, and she wants to leave Jirou without clothes and only with his glasses on. Luckily, Kanai defeats all the opponents and throws a pair of glasses into the lake for Nakuru to chase it because she has with glasses. Now there are only Kanade versus Jirou, but she does not plan to let him win and defeats him. Kanade is then declared the winner and receives a kiss on the cheek from Kano. At night, Jirou and Kamina watch the fireworks and look forward to the new school semester, and Jirou happily says that he wants to be friends forever, but Kano disagrees. She wants to be something more, but she soon regrets it and tells him that she said nothing. Days later, Jiro and Usami start working part-time at a cosplay cafe, and he doesn't feel very comfortable there, especially when Kanna goes to see them and buy some of their time. She wants them to treat her with respect, but Usami gets exasperated because she doesn't like her even though she tries to be a good maid. Meanwhile, Kano looks everywhere for Kanna and runs into another butler, who grabs her and takes him to a butler cafe where Kano is an expert and tells everyone how to serve customers. Back to Kanna, she keeps teasing Usami because she finds it adorable that she is at Sungear. Later she leaves, but now Kureha and Nakuru arrive. They will work part-time today, and Kanna decides to stay. She wants the prize that the maids offer, so she plays a video game championship against them, and of course she wins. Then all the maids line up and blow kisses at Kanna. Unfortunately, Jiro trips and falls on Usami's chest, and when he realizes where his hand is, his nose starts to bleed and he faints. When he wakes up, Kanna tells everyone that Jiro fainted on Usami because he has a maid. He even forced her to dress like that once. For Kureha, everything makes sense because she saw Kanna dressed as a maid, and she leaves the cosplay cafe, disappointed in her brother. Then Kanna tries to convince the others that Jiro has a maid, but Usami is not easy to convince, but Kanna is skillful with her words and makes her understand that Jiro loves garters on girls' legs. And for Usami that makes sense because she claims that he was staring at the garter belts, although Jiro fervently denies it. Then Kanna says that the only way to prove that Jiro doesn't have a maid garter belt is for Usami to lift her skirt and show him her garter belts, since she is the one who looks the most like a maid. Usami doesn't want to accept because she's embarrassed, but Kanna teases her by saying that maybe she's in love with Jiro, and that's why she doesn't want to embarrass herself in front of him. Usami turns red but decides to accept the test, since Jiro is her friend and wants to prove his innocence, so she lifts her skirt and shows him her garter belt. Unfortunately, Jiro does like maids with garter belts and he doesn't think he can pass the test. Smoke starts coming out of his hot body. Suddenly, Kano enters and Kanna ends the test and leaves with her butler, but Jiro does not plan to let Kano go without talking to her. He catches up with them and Kano tells him that what she meant last night is that she wants them to be best friends, and he gladly accepts. After that, Jiro returns to work and tells Usami that he doesn't want to continue working at the maid cafe, but she asks him to come back in exchange for her showing him her school notes, and he agrees to come back from time to time. Days later, Kanna calls the school gamer club and asks them to make a fighting game for tomorrow. They say that it's very difficult to do that, but Kanna uses her charms and convinces them easily. The next day, Kureha wakes up happy and goes to see Jiro, but he is still sleeping, and that makes her a little sad because today is her birthday. Then she goes to Usami's apartment since she and Nakuru prepared a birthday party for her. Her friends have special gifts for her. Nakuru gives her a pair of cute glasses and Usami a Kano pillow. Then they perform a play about Jiro and the butler's romance. Finally, they take her to the maid cafe, where Kanna has rented the place to continue the party. Kureha can't believe that everyone has prepared so many things for her, even Kano gives her a sheep stuffed animal. Then all the maids, her friends, Kanna and Kano, sing her happy birthday, leaving Kureha delighted. Something crosses her mind and she gets sad. It turns out that on her 8th birthday, she couldn't stop crying because she missed her dad so much, so Jiro used all of her savings to buy her a giant teddy bear. That touches the girls, and Kanna lifts her spirits by showing her special birthday gift, a personalized fighting game, where Kureha can fight her brother. Later, Kanna and Kano take Kureha to her home and she tells them all about her fun birthday thanks to Jiro, but last year, something horrible happened. He forgot her birthday and went to a concert with his friend. Then Kanna proposes that she move to her mansion and be her little sister. She would love to spoil her, but Kureha defends Jiro, saying that he has been with her in all the important moments of her life, and she sadly concludes that she has already turned 16 and she should stop being so clingy to her brother. When Kureha gets home, she sees a huge gift box and Jiro apologizes for last year. Kureha smiles happily and hugs the stuffed polar bear that her brother gave her, and she tells him that she wants to stay clingy to him, and she hugs him tightly. Meanwhile, Usami plays a personalized video game that Kanna gave her, but she gets angry when she realizes that the game is made for her to lose repeatedly. The new school semester begins and Kano feels strange. She is even bothered by the bandages that flatten her boobs. Even so, Kanna helps her put them on, and she goes to Jiru's house to go to school together, like every morning. Kano tells Jiro that Kanna has prepared new treatments to help him cure his genophobia. Suddenly, Usami almost crashes into them with her new bike, but thanks to Kano's quick reflexes, they are saved from her, and by having their faces so close, Kano remembers when she gave him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Upon arriving at school, Kanna tells him that she brought lunch for the 3 of them and is waiting for them on the roof. Later, Kanna shows them an exquisite special bento, and she serves it to both of them, for Jiro is the most delicious thing he has ever tasted, but Kano turns red and begins to take off her clothes. Turns out she's a lightweight when it comes to alcohol, and the food Kanade gave her had white wine in it, so Kanade puts a little bit of food on Jiru's neck and orders her butler to clean it with her mouth. Jiru asks her to stop her, but Kanade reveals that this is all part of his treatment, so Jiru reminds Kamino that they are best friends, and if she keeps doing this, she will ruin their friendship. This angers Kamino and she bites him and faints, while Kanade watches them sadly and asks Jiru to carry Kono to the infirmary. Jiru puts plugs in his nose and tries to convince himself that Kono is not a girl while he feels her feminine body on his back. After that, he goes back to his classroom and talks to Nakade, but something strange happens to her. She keeps saying NYU, so he takes her to the infirmary too. There she confesses that she has a weakness. When she hiccups, she says "new" all the time without realizing it, and that makes her seem cute in the eyes of others, and she prefers to be seen as a strong girl. Suddenly, Kano wakes up and explains to Jiru that Kanade's hiccups are not a simple one, she has diabolical powers. People who hear Kanade's cute hiccups go crazy trying to get rid of her hiccups. This hiccup has occurred twice in public, and both times a stampede occurred. Kanade continues to hiccup, and Kano is affected by her master's cuteness, so Kanade orders her to go to the mansion to bring the anti-hiccup tools, and the butler reluctantly obeys. Alone, Kanade throws Jiru onto the infirmary bed and begins to take off her clothes. She says that she will take everything off of her if he doesn't tell her what happened between him and Kano. This is too much for Jiru, so he skillfully gets Kanade off of him and flees from the infirmary. But he does not realize that Kano had already returned from the mansion with a box with anti-hiccup tools, and he collides with her, and she notices that Jiru and Kanade have their clothes buttoned badly, and thinks that something has happened between her master and Jiru, and that makes her sad. Kanade's hiccups have disappeared, and she asks them to return to the classroom, confessing that she lied about her hiccups because she wanted to have fun alone with Jiru. Unfortunately, Kanade was so happy telling this that she trips and falls down the stairs, and Kano fails to save her. At the hospital, Kanade tells Kano that she just sprained her ankle, but Kano feels guilty and goes to the roof. Jiru follows her and asks if she's okay, but Kano starts crying and hugs him tightly. Suddenly, Nager appears on the roof and tells Kamino that she will no longer be a butler since Kanade was injured under her care, and Kano wants to protest, but is interrupted by Kanade, who climbed to the roof using her crutches. Kanade angrily says that she will convince her father to give Kano another chance. She wants her to remain her butler, but Nager argues that he wants his daughter to be a girl again. Kano's face turns sad, and she thanks Kano for everything and runs away, but Jiru follows her. When he finally reaches her, he hugs her and says that he won't let her go until he faints, so Kano thanks Jiru for taking care of her and says goodbye to him with a kiss on the cheek. That's Jiru's limit, and he faints. Fortunately, Kanade called Usami to look for Jiru because Kano probably needs him. When Usami manages to wake up Jiru, he tells her to take him to the inn where they spent their summer vacation. He knows that Kano will be there because they are best friends. And he was right, she is there, and he tells her that he doesn't want to leave her alone, and the two will spend the night there before going to sleep. Kano calls Kanade, and she is relieved to know that she is okay and cheers Jiru up because maybe tonight is his first time. The owner of the inn thinks that they are two boys, so she prepares a room for them both, and while they are lying on two different futons, Jiru can't stop thinking about Kano. She asks him what they would do if he didn't have gynophobia, and he is honest with her since he can't stop imagining having his first time with her. But even so, he would like to wait until they are both sure that they want to sleep together. Then Kano surprises him and gets into his futon to be next to him, but Jiru misunderstands her and is ready for whatever she wants, so she punches him, and he tells her that she just wants to lie next to him. So the two of them join their futons and sleep with their hands holding each other, and Jiru tells her before passing out from his nose he wouldn't care if she was a girl again. The next day, Kanade picks them up at the inn because they have to go to school, and Kano has a big step to take. At school, Kano's fan club are mourning because they found out that the butler has left the school, and the news shocks Jiru. Suddenly, a girl enters the classroom and introduces herself as Puniru, a new transfer student. The first thing Jiru does is invite her to eat on the roof, and everyone is surprised that he flirts with the new girl so openly. But not everyone believes Kano's lies, since Usami knows how Kano looks like in girls' clothes and doesn't understand why the butler pretends to be Puniru. Since Kanade no longer has a butler, Jiru helps her on her day since she must use crutches, and she says that it is nice to be treated like a princess. At lunchtime, Kano goes to the roof to eat with Jiru and tells him that she misses being Kanade's butler, since she had realized until now that Kanade was a great support to her. Then Jiru says that he will solve everything for her. Later, Jiru goes to talk to S4 and to Jiwi. He begs them to cooperate with him and help him bring Kano as butler again. The next day, the two fan clubs work together and make a petition for signatures outside the school, all led by Jiru. And since all the students love Kano, they all sign the petition, and the girls tell Puniru that Kano was an exceptional butler and that moves her heart. At the end of the day, Kanae receives the thousands of signatures from everyone and says that she will give them to her father so that he can reconsider his decision. The next day, Kanae and her butler Kano return to school, and everyone is happy to have the butler with them again, but Yusami can't believe that no one realized that Pumira was Kano, even though she wouldn't tell anyone the truth. Kanae then thanks Jiru for helping Kano, and he says that he always wanted to be someone who protected others. At night, Jiru receives a text message from Kano. She met him at the park and he runs to her. Kano is dressed as a girl and says that she wants to show him her gratitude, but he reminds her that they are her best friends and he doesn't want to ruin their friendship. Then Kano says that he's best friends with the butler, but now she is dressed as a girl and wants to show him her gratitude, and he walks away from her. But Kanae is tired of waiting and tells them to kiss already. So Kano takes the initiative and kisses him. Unfortunately, Jiru faints and Kano regrets that they have not yet cured his genophobia, because then they will not be able to advance further, since this is just the beginning of the relationship between a butler and a chicken. Although Jiru hopes that soon their relationship will be a story about a boy full of courage and an earnest girl. Days later, one afternoon, Jiru finds a men's magazine in his drawer and doesn't understand how it got there. Suddenly, he receives an unexpected visit from Nakuru. She wants to ask him about something and tells him what happened yesterday. It turns out that yesterday morning, Nakuru dressed as a paparazzi and went to take a photo of Kano, but she was quickly discovered by the butler. Then Kanae intervened and gave her photos she took of Kano and asked Nakuru to stop spying on her butler. Nakuru soon sold those photos to Kano's fans and used that money to print her new novel, but she was only able to produce half of it with the help of Kureha and Yusami. As payment for their help, Nakuru gave them remaining photos of Kano, and Kureha was so grateful that she let Nakuru into her brother's room, and she soon found Jiru's bikini-clad women's magazines and decided to add a men's magazine to diversify a bit. After that, the girls go back to work on Nakuru's new BL novels, but night came and they couldn't finish stapling them, so Nakuru asks Kano and Kanad for help, and they help too. After they finish working, Nakuru wants to ask Kano for advice, but she doesn't have the courage and says it's nothing. The next morning, Nakuru takes her BL novels to the Amateur Writers Convention and sells them like hotcakes. Meanwhile, Yusami and Kureha dress up and watch Nakuru trying to guess what's bothering her. The hours pass and Kureha comes to the conclusion that Nakuru has love problems because Nakuru was watching straight love mangas and not the usual BL ones. Instead, they decide to confront Nakuru and tell her that she can tell them what's bothering her. But when Nakuru starts talking about her big the girls lose their marbles and Nakuru concludes that she should ask a boy, Jiru. She goes to Jiru's house and tells him her whole story, and now he understands how that BL magazine got into his drawer and asks her what's worrying her. She tells him that first she wants him to go with her on a date, and he accepts because he wants to help her. At night, they go to the port and behave like a couple, and she tells him that recently an unexpected incident happened to her. A boy confessed to her and asked her to go out with him, but she declined because she vowed to dedicate her high school life to her work as a BL writer. Jiru does not understand the correlation of the two events, and she says that she has a big complex with her big. And if a boy asks her out, it is because he noticed her breasts and not her personality. He tells her that it's not like that and that she is a nice girl and any guy could fall in love with her, but Nakuru doesn't believe him and wishes her breasts were smaller, so she asks him to prove to her that he's immune to her breasts with a hug. Jiru accepts, although he warns her that it may not last because of his phobia, and when they hug, they both feel good, and she thanks him for showing her that boys don't just focus on her breasts. But the experiment did not go as they expected, because he sees her more adorable than before and she sees him more handsome than usual. So the two play dumb and end the date.